Hey, Doug here with Hope 360. So I wanted to do a video series on divorce and how to help people getting through divorce. So if you are divorced or if you're going through divorce, you know that there's deep hurts and deep pains in going through that. Whether you're the perpetrator or not, or whether you did anything wrong or you filed divorce or they filed divorce, when God created marriage, he created it for us to be one. And so when you get divorced, it's not a clean cut. It's like ripping, say, two pieces of plywood were glued together. It's like trying to rip those apart, and pieces and fibers there's wounds from each side. They're just being ripped and torn and broken. So, like I said, I wanted to do a video series on that. I hope this helps you. So the first video here I'm going to do is about the deep hurt. And you need to, before you begin to get on your journey to healing, you really need to recognize these 4 points before you can heal from divorce. So I'm going to give you 4 points to recognize before you can actually start healing from divorce. So it kind of reminds me of, do you guys remember back, I guess it was in the 80s, about Ross Perot when he was running for president, and he said, we have to look under he kept using this analogy. He's like, you have to look under the hood of the car to assess the problem. You have to look at the engine. You have to see, why is it not working? So you got to open the hood, look at the engine to see why it's not starting. So kind of the same with this. You have to kind of look underneath to see, or look inside and assess the problem before you can come up with a diagnosis. It's kind of like going to see a doctor. You don't see a doctor and they just say, oh, well, here's the diagnosis. They run tests, they do blood tests and so forth. So same, I think you get the idea. It's the same analogy. So the first thing you have to recognize before you're on your road to healing and divorce is you have to recognize, or it's good to recognize, I should say, that others have gone through this. I went through this. There's unfortunately millions of people that have gone through divorce. When you recognize that others have walked before you, it helps calm you. I don't know if I can put it to words. It helps calm you. It helps give you the sense of, okay, if other people have done this, I can do this. And then we have lots of stories on our YouTube channel here about stories of hope, of how God has gotten them through divorce. I'm one of them. If you go on our website at hope360.org, you can see mine on the homepage there, and then it leads you to the YouTube channel. You can see just dozens of stories of how people have healed by going through a divorce. I remember when I was going through it, I didn't know how to put words to it, and I used to tell people, I'm like, I don't know if this makes any sense, but I used to tell people, man, I could just crawl out of my own skin. And I think it's because, I was mad, I was angry, I was feeling all these different emotions. We had kids involved, and it was hard for me to really put words to it, but I did, and that's what I said. I used to say, I feel like I could crawl out of my own skin. It was a feeling I never had before. It was awful. So thousands of years ago, many people wrote the Psalms, and I'm talking about Psalms, the book in the Bible. And David was one of the contributors to this book in the Bible, and he witnessed emotional pain, just deep scars of things he was going through. And one of the verses I want to share with you here is Psalm 69. It's actually a couple verses, 1 through 3. And this is what it says. It says, "Save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. I sink in the depths where there is no foothold. I have come into the deep waters. The flood engulfed me. I am worn out, calling for help. My throat is parched. My eyes fail, looking for my God." So, like I said, there's many people that have come before you that, and he's one of them way back. So I would encourage you to read the Psalms if you're going through deep pain, whether it's divorce or what have you. Okay, before I get on to point number 2 to recognize is, if this has given you value, would you like and subscribe? It just helps get this message out to more people. It helps the algorithm with YouTube. And if you even comment, put a question in there, put an amen, or if you hate this, whatever, just put that in there as well. Okay, so the second thing you need to recognize before starting your healing journey on divorce is recognize that you're feeling scatterbrained. I don't care who you are. If you're going through a divorce, you're probably going to start feeling scatterbrained. You're not going to know which end is up. You're going to have lots of, and the reason you're going to feel scatterbrained is you're going to have lots of emotions, and they're going to guide you in all different directions. You're not going to know like I said, which end is up. You're basically trying to navigate unfamiliar terrain. And whether you've been divorced once or a couple times, there's always uncharted terrain and uncharted territory. So a couple things I wrote down here on how not to feel scatterbrained is, one, this was big for me, and I'm not typically a journaler, but I started journaling. I started writing down my feelings. It was a way for me to get it out of my head. And I have awful hand penmanship, and I can't even read my own writing sometimes, so I used to type in my journal. And no lie, today I've been divorced now for about going on 15 years, and I have hundreds of pages, single space, typed in my computer on just thoughts about it. I used to, when I get so mad, I'd want to fire something off at my ex, and I would write it as an email, but then I would never send it. And so that really helped me. The other thing, too, is when you feel scatterbrained, you're not going to know which end is up. Write down, and maybe you're already a person that does this, but write down lists of things you have to do. Again, it's getting it out of your head. It's getting it on paper so you can actually clear your mind to begin to start healing on the journey. And then you can start tackling the list. And this is just practical advice, obviously. And then you can prioritize by importance, and you can start crossing things off. Okay, the third thing on what you need to recognize before you are heading down or starting your healing journey in divorce is recognize that you're feeling stressed. Again, I don't care who you are. It's probably rare that somebody's not going through a divorce and not feeling, or they're going through a divorce and they're not feeling stressed. You're going to feel stressed out because I remember going through it, I'm thinking, where am I going to live? Where are the kids going to live? How are they going to handle this? And all these questions come into your mind, and whether you know it or not, and I'm a low stress guy, but whether you know it or not, your stress level starts getting up there. So recognize you're feeling stressed. Divorce takes a toll on your mind. Your emotions are probably off the scales, and that's pretty normal when you're going through a divorce. And then you're probably also feeling run down mentally and physically. And so you don't want to ignore the stress and what your body needs. So I think if you recognize, I've always said, and I think this is true for a lot of people, if you could recognize the problem and it helps you understand, that's huge for me. And if you take your temperature, so to speak, on your stress, what you're eating, and your exercise, it helps your body to overcome stress and some of the things that you're feeling. Okay, the fourth thing on what to recognize in going through divorce and before you start your healing journey is recognize that you need help. Again, I've said this now quite a few times going through these videos. I don't care who you are, but everybody needs help as they're going through divorce. So one, I would recommend watch this video series I'm putting together. There's going to be another video at the end of this one you can watch. Two, getting into a lot of churches, and if you don't have one, comment and I'll DM you. Put a comment in the bottom here of the comments on this video. But there's a program called Divorce Care that a lot of churches do, and it takes you through a book. There's other people there you can talk with, and it helps you kind of sort out going through a divorce. And then three, go to counseling. That is huge as well. A professional counselor can help guide you and direct you through sorting out things in your head. So I'd recommend doing all three of those. So like I said earlier in the video, David in the book of Psalms, who wrote a lot of the Psalms, he was betrayed. He was persecuted by his enemies. I mean, he fought many physical and emotional spiritual battles. And if you read the Psalms, you can hear him crying out to God and experiencing these pains and hurts. So again, you're not alone. I want to leave you with Psalm 28, 6 and 7 says, "Praise be to the Lord, for he has heard my cry for mercy. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him, and he helps me. My heart leaps for joy with my song I praise him. Hey, thanks for watching. Watch this next video here on this video series about recovering from divorce. Did you click on it yet? It's right there.